Okay, everyone. Chris here. I hope you're doing well. And we are going to be talking about communication. And the main issue we have in coffee, in my opinion, is communication is something that doesn't usually happen as often as we think it does. So when I put together the description for this video, I was basically thinking everybody assumes that communication has happened. What we're actually often wrong about that, especially when you talk to baristas and they talk to you about how, well, it would be better if the owners or the managers communicated to us about things going on in the cafe, things going on in the community. No clearer example of this is shown than when we have a special that some well-meaning manager or owner decided to put together, and people who are working the register just find out about it for the first time when the customer comes in and asks about it. Now, there are many other issues that we have related to communication besides just being kept updated on what the company is doing that directly impacts our work. Communication around standards and values and how am I doing my job? Am I doing my job well? What we end up doing is we assume that people understand our intentions, and we then create this gap, this void that is filled by other people's thoughts about what's happening. And usually that is going to be something that creates animosity. The barista will fill in the gaps with maybe the worst possible scenario that a manager doesn't care or an owner doesn't care, and that's why they're not talking to us. And absence often is interpreted as negligence, and apathy is the opposite of love. That's what they say. They say hatred is not the opposite of love, but apathy is the opposite of love. And I think I tend to agree. Now, if you don't want to be misunderstood, then you need to embrace communication. And in order to embrace communication, you need to have a plan for what communication looks like. And so today we want to talk about what communication looks like in your business and why it is important. And if you're watching this right now, let's see here, I think my mic is working. I'm pretty sure. So comment right now if this is a live feed, just to get me used to the idea of doing these videos. But I would love to see. There's one person watching right now, and more people will tune in later on. But leave a comment right now in the chat if you can hear my voice, because I've done this before where the microphone is just not actually registered. But really quickly, we're not going to make this a very long little live, but one thing that you need to do in communication is plan affirmation. Plan for specific affirmation of your staff. We have no problem pointing out that people are doing things wrong. We are bad news managers in that respect, where we come in and people like our friend on the show, Bruce Tulgan, hey, they can hear me. Jason and Amber. Good. Welcome. We have no problem talking to people about what they're doing wrong and why they're missing the mark. But actually, we do have a problem following through with our positive intentions. And sometimes we sell ourselves short. We have a lot of positive intention. We just don't follow through with it. So make it a matter of discipline. As much as you would want to read about coffee and learn how to make a great cappuccino and taste great coffee as a professional, why don't we think about the relationship investment in the business as a craft in and of itself that deserves some kind of a systematic approach where I don't want it to seem like it's robotic, but if you don't plan for it amongst the daily tasks that you have to do as an owner, you're not going to do it. And you will be left in the same position where people just assume that you don't care because you don't communicate. And the only time they do hear from you is when things are going wrong, and you're very reactive, not proactive. And so you've got to invest specific affirmation into your baristas. And I think that's probably one of the biggest parts that I see in cafes that's missing. And when I say specific, we need to say, instead of saying, oh, good job, y'all, that was great, you killed the rush, I would like for you to challenge yourself to give specific people certain bits of what you observed that you love about what they did, and then leave it there. Don't attach anything else to it, like a reprimand or a directive. Keep the affirmations affirmations. Keep your coaching coaching. Okay. I'm a big advocate that you don't want to sandwich things together because it becomes confusing. The only reason we give the kind of communication we do, which is infrequent, too much at one time, mixed messages across too many different categories of the business, is because we don't trust ourselves to carry out affirmation on a regular basis, or communication on a regular basis, because we don't actually have a schedule that we're following for ourselves. So that's a huge tip there, is schedule yourself as you would a barista. A barista is scheduled to work behind the bar. Maybe they start at the POS station and they move to the espresso machine, and they have tasks and station responsibilities. Equally so, a manager or an owner needs to have that same kind of a week schedule and a shift schedule. And I don't understand, well, I do understand why we don't do that. It's because we think we graduate beyond having to be constrained by schedules when we are the schedule maker. That is something that's gotten us into a lot of trouble. So that first tip is schedule this, make it a system, and favor the affirmation and praise the important, the value aligned act that a barista has done, and make it specific and frequent, and plan it out. The other thing about communication that is a systematic approach is having actual one-on-ones on a weekly basis and a team meeting on a monthly basis. End of the month team meeting is amazing for keeping people up to date and keeping things focused. Always in advance say, here's the agenda for our meeting, and then ask people if they have questions. Answer questions before the meeting if you can, and then use that meeting for addressing questions that are so good they need to be corporately addressed in that meeting. But the one-on-one is a opportunity for a barista to talk to you about what's going on in their world. And guess what? Their world is your world. If you're not giving them a platform to give you feedback about how they're doing, then you don't actually know how they're doing. And we've all been in this situation where one day we think everyone's doing well, and the next day they're putting in their 2-week notice because they're not happy. We don't understand why. And we don't understand because we're not pursuing understanding. We're not trying to make a study of the people in our cafe. We know all the stuff about our coffee, but we don't know very much about our people. And so we need to sit down with people and simply ask the question, how's it going? Big fan of a podcast called Manager Tools. It's a very straightforward manager podcast that I listened to years ago. I don't listen to it a whole lot anymore, but they had this idea of one-on-ones that I have adopted as my mantra for one-on-ones, which is I say, how's it going? And you simply talk to me about what's on your mind. I don't come with a 6-point agenda. I want this to be about you, and I can, as your boss, easily sway this conversation any direction I want. And once I do that, it stops being a useful meeting. Every other piece of communication that we have in the business, in the coffee shop, is about what I want. We have a new signature drink coming up. We have a special. We've got an event. And we have to make sure that we're cleaning the bath. There's all this communication we're supposed to be having in standing meetings as we talk about work at work. And if it's not happening, we use our one-on-ones to try to catch up with all the things we should have been doing the whole time. Let's live the life of clear communicators and directors and coaches and guides that are there for the benefit of our people's success in the business, and then use these one-on-ones as touch points that eliminate gossip, where people don't feel they can trust the ownership or leaders to talk to them about things. They'd rather talk to each other and complain. This is a huge problem in coffee shops, and I always see it in places where leadership is unavailable. They don't show that they care through a regular scheduled one-on-one and meeting with people. And so what else are we supposed to do? Just not talk? Just bottle it up until we explode? It's not what we want. Okay. So get these one-on-ones going. Coach regularly throughout the day. And this requires you, again, to be a student of your people, of the team that you are tasked with leading. And it's about serving the people in your charge. So not being in charge of people, but serving people in your charge, as Simon Sinek has said. And so today, if you're thinking about communication and all the expectations you have of people, embrace the idea that maybe you have been under communicating. Maybe you've been dropping the ball when it comes to how you've been caring for people in their need to be seen, affirmed, and also their need to be coached and challenged and guided by people who have their best interest in mind. When you build trust over a long term, give this about 6 months to really see the benefits of it, okay? Don't try this week and be like, okay, well, that doesn't work. Chris was wrong. Give it about 6 months of consistent application. And then I'll bet you, these things will start, any problem in your business will start to get better. The overall health of your business will get better. At least people will be more motivated and feel more secure in their work, which means they're more creative with how they provide solutions for customers or just how they interact with one another and are receptive to you. So this is just a little bit of a live on communication, kind of using this live tool as a way to get these videos out there for YouTube. And I don't know, Jason, Amber, whichever one is on this chat, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask those at this moment if you have any. Otherwise, I think we're going to end the stream, and maybe we'll start to do streams on a actual scheduled basis where maybe like Friday Night Live or something like that. That'd be fun. But after this, I'll be going to Chicago in the next couple of days for the SCA show. And if any of you see me there, please do say hello. And yeah, the other thing about this live is in the comments, I'm going to try to link up a bunch of communication-based episodes that I think will help you continue to just put you down the rabbit hole of leading people well and being a great leader amongst people. And so that's it, guys. And Jason, Amber, I try listening to your podcast every day. My phone notifies me. I love all you share. I have to run though. Amber, okay. Good to see you, Amber, on here. And we'll talk to all of you later, and stay tuned for more stuff on YouTube. All right. Cheers.